Okay, so shoot away. Go where you would like to go. What are the issues? You can talk about anything that comes to mind.
I don't know if I've got any issues.
Well, how about we just review the minor assignment?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I suddenly see there's a phone disappeared. Sorry, sorry. I distract myself. The minor assignment. So, how far have you each got? What have you done so far? Have any of you written it yet?
No.
Well, okay.
Go for it,
I've
Katrina.
finished it.
Oh,
You've finished, of course you have.
Of course I have, because it took me ages to learn it, but I'm only doing 2 subjects, don't forget, not like the rest of you.
Oh, I'm only doing 2 as well.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Mary, how are you going?
No, I've written just some notes from readings that I've done that I think may be relevant. So information that I might refer to or cite, just some thoughts really from research, but I haven't put anything formal down and I haven't started a proper formal framework.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping I still have enough time. When I hear that other people have written it already, that makes me panic. But I am doing 4 subjects, so 4 units. So I've been busy enough the last week, but I'm hoping to make a start soon. I've been really focused on the forums. I'm trying to get all of those out of the way because there's 10 to get through and they take a lot of time. If you want to read it properly and you want to reflect properly, I mean, those in themselves are like 10 mini assignments. So I don't know really whether I'm supposed to do all 10 and then be able to focus on the big assignments, or if I should rather do 1 a week.
Now, my quick response is try and get a routine going and do a bit at a time.
Yeah.
And seriously, I wouldn't worry about skim reading the long ones. Welcome, Sharon.
Hi.
Where are you based?
Victoria, but I'm in Darwin at the moment.
Oh, just to be different.
Yeah, so I got the time wrong yesterday, and yeah.
Oh, well, welcome.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. It just, yeah.
We should probably introduce each other. So I'm here in Kellyville, Sydney. Go around on the clock. You look as if you're in a circle, more or less. So on from me, we've got Mary.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's my first semester at AC, and I'm doing a master's in teaching for secondary, and it's full-time, and I'm very excited and enthusiastic at this stage. So hopefully that continues for the next 2 years and for the rest of my life as a teacher, of course.
Yes. And you live in Brisbane?
I do. I live in Brisbane. I've got 2 young kids, 2 of 3, and I've spent 15 years doing project management, but always wanted to teach. So I'm now following my dream of teaching and can't wait to get started.
Excellent. Thank you. And Sharon?
I live in Victoria near the Great Ocean Road. 4 children, 8. And yeah, just really excited about teaching and can't wait.
Excellent. And what are you doing in Darwin at the moment?
A bit of a holiday, helping someone shift, and then we're going to travel down to Victoria. So Sunday night we're leaving, going to Butterfly Farm, and then some hot pools and Uluru and Tahiti.
As you do.
Amazing.
Yeah, awesome opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you. And you're doing the bachelor, aren't you?
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Katrina? Katrina, are you here? Are you there? You've lost us.
Yes, sorry. Yes, it just froze. Yes, I'm doing a bachelor. I'm actually I've been doing this degree for a few years part-time while I've had children, and I'm actually going to finish it off my final year part-time with Alpha Cruises, which I started this semester, and I'm loving it. Yeah, so I've been doing this degree for a little while now. So I'm on the home stretch, guys. It's very exciting. I've got 2 little girls, 6 and 3, and I live in the Ponds in Sydney, not far from Jim, actually. So, yeah.
You're gonna have barbecues together.
We should.
Not yet.
Church.
Yeah, in the same church.
That's right.
And Rita and Taylor?
Okay, so obviously I'm Taylor's mum. This is my first year doing bachelor, part-time to begin with. So I'm coming back to work after, I'm not coming back to work, coming back to studying after a long time being at home looking after children. So I'm a mother of 7, and this is sort of like a new chapter in my life as well. I feel like I'm called to do primary teaching. Having children has changed me, and I feel like I've got more to give because, you know, my last one's going to school next year, so I'm going to be at home or doing, I can't see myself doing anything else. I feel like I'm called to do teaching.
And Taylor?
I'm Taylor, and I'm doing Master of Teaching post-secondary. This is the first semester at Alpha Christian. And Mary, I'll be joining you in Brisbane the 2nd semester.
Yay!
Because?
Sorry?
Because?
Because
Because I'm sorry, I'm getting married, and my fiance lives up in Brisbane. So
Wonderful. We can be study partners.
yeah, we can.
I mean,
Like South African as well, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow. We can eat biltong and boerewors together.
Yeah, we can.
very good. So this course, to me, one of the most important things about it is that that you, as a group, are sharing with each other. It's not a case of you come to the well and you get the information and you go away and digest it. That would be awful. I think a lot of the learning and a lot of the revelation comes from somebody else's experience and how they manage or how they've learned through something. So, you know, the Zoom or the intensives or both, to me, are just part of becoming a community. So what we're doing today is absolutely vital for your future careers and your future service, basically. It's amazing. I was just on a bit of a roll on the forums. I would hate for you to see them as a burden. I would love you to see them as a springboard for ideas, and therefore please don't worry about having to digest the whole of 20 pages.
yeah,
Don't do that. Work out a routine of reading the introduction, the abstract, the conclusion, looking at the references, getting the context, and then skim reading the middle for a long one. So I have no intention that it should be a burden. I'd far rather you have time to reflect on it. And in fact, it would be far more fun to me to see you responding to each other on the forum about the stuff that you've got out of it. Or not, as the case may be. So yeah, don't let that, and try and get, the most important thing is to be as consistent as you can so that you're not having a big pile of forums to try and get rid of at the end. Okay?
yeah.
Are we meant to cite and reference in those forums, or is it a much more casual?
Much more.
Writing?
I mean, obviously, if you're referring to a particular paper that isn't on that forum, but maybe it's a previous 2 or 3 weeks ago, just say Bear 2010 in brackets. And, you know, you don't put a thing at the end, you know, with all the full APA referencing. No. We all know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the minor assignment, as I was saying yesterday with the group I had, the key thing is 2 words. And if you haven't got 2 words, and I'm going to ask you before this 15 minutes is over, I'm going to ask you if any of you have got a revelation about this assignment yet. So the key thing is change and focusing on change. And so in that sense, you describe the change, and that's not hard. And, you know, anybody who can string sentences together can do that. And then attitude, that's more difficult. And I actually got people yesterday, and I'll do it now, talking about what they believe the attitudinal changes have been in the last 60 years. And it's really funny that it's sometimes hard to differentiate in your mind between what is a change and what is, and description thereof, and what is an attitude, because they're so interlinked. And my biggest passion for this essay is that you understand what the attitudinal changes have been and why. So anyone like to have a go at describing any, from what you've thought about so far, any attitudinal changes that you've seen in the last 50, 60 years of Australian schooling?
From a parent, oh, sorry.
From any point of view. Well, schooling, yeah, parent, yeah. Who's going first? Put your hand up and go, or don't put your hand up, just speak.
I think there's been a lot of attitude change for parents. Like if you sort of think about, like, even like my dad's generation when they went to school, you sort of like, I feel like, and just even just reading Bear's text, and then I've done like some other assignments where I kind of did a bit of a study on private schooling versus public schooling, and I think just a change in parents' attitude to schooling and wanting to be more involved in their kids' schooling, and how that has changed the way that they approach.
Let me push back on that. You are describing a certain type of parent, whom I would call a great parent, who is intimately interested in their kids' schooling. But sadly, this is my, I'll just be provocative, this is my perception. The government has had to put into schooling role a whole bunch of stuff in terms of training children, because the parents aren't doing it.
Yes.
And in my parents, back in the 50s, 60s, it was just understood that it was the parents' responsibility to teach responsibility and care for other people in the community, in their children. And there was no shadow of doubt that that was the parents' role. Whereas today, it's almost a given that the only place where a child's going to learn responsibility and care for others will be because they've done a program that's come through the school. Oh, and if we're in Victoria, let's put in the so-called Safe Schools program, and let's change their minds anyway into the way that the government wanted to go. So I see a certain, not being too rude, but a certain parent who basically abdicates, and they almost feel as if their hands literally are tied behind their back, and they aren't allowed to parent any longer because all the parenting is done by the school. Now, yes, I'm being contradictory, but you've got to look at that. And what about the parent who's a recent immigrant, and the school in inner Sydney is 80% immigrant and not first language English? They haven't a clue.
And that happens a lot, yeah.
And so all that socializing and getting used to the Australian culture has to happen in the school.
Yes.
I mean, I never taught my children to spit in the street. But in some cultures, it's quite normal to do that. And therefore, that's what they do, and that's what their children do. So it's a very complex essay, I think. It's very exciting. So, look, someone else, what have you got, any particular attitudes that you've seen that you're going to be putting into your essay?
Okay,
Well, I was
who's going first?
Rita.
No. Please go ahead.
All right. So basically, what I came across with my research, I decided to go down the values education way. So with my research, basically in the last 50 years, there's been a total breakdown in the value system of our country. It was a result of Industrial Revolution, because this sort of like into a lot of other things. But besides that, our values have changed, not only because of the sexual revolution and changing the whole aspect of a family, but also we've had a great deal of immigration, so that also has an impact on traditional values. And also the fact that because of technology now, we're no longer an isolated country, we've become more global. So the government has had to step in and create these, I call them generic values, because these generic values that I came across can suit anyone. It's basic common sense. Like one value, for instance, out of these values, one value will give everyone a fair go, and that's common sense to me. It's nothing special. However, the government has intervened and said that these values are going to be implemented. And it's really interesting because it's not happening in our country, because this morning I actually did another forum where the one that was written by Archbishop Ian George, I think his name is. And the same thing was happening in the Dutch country. What's the Dutch country?
Holland. Netherlands, yeah.
Netherlands, yeah. And like there too, because they know that there's been an increase in crime in their country. So the government has basically intervened there as well and put into place in their curriculum this values education. And they've put it back onto school to teach what should basically be taught in a traditional family. But because there has been a breakdown in traditional families and there's been a lot of stuff happening in the culture, it's not getting done, it's not getting addressed. So basically the school, the government is putting it onto the school. However, from what I can see, like from reading with Archbishop George, the government is thinking that it can just be taught like in a key learning area. It's just values can be taught just like any other subject. Oh yeah, let's just transfer this knowledge to students. Let's teach them about values. But the teachers are saying it's not just a matter of teaching someone values, because these things are done through behaviour observation as well. Like, a child learns values not just by you speaking, but by the way you act. So this is where the discrepancy comes between what the teachers think, like how the teachers see things from a pedagogical point of view, compared to what government in Hong thinks, oh yeah, we'll just include it another part of the curriculum. Values education is just part of the curriculum, isn't going to work if it's just based on transferal of knowledge. It's got to be something where the teachers actually do become a mentor, a role model, and it's basically like what Jim's taking the place of the parent, because this is basically what parents used to do.
Thank you, Rita. You've got far too much to write by the sound of it, so you'll have to watch the word limit.
I did.
Oh dear. But it's. And what Rita's talking about makes me think that it is so important, this foundation subject, especially as we get towards our philosophy for the major assignment, because we don't know what we think we know and why we do what we do, we're going to find it pretty hard to write a philosophy. So I see this assignment as a stepping stone to that major one. So don't think, oh, well, I've got a whole bunch of extra reading I've got to do for that one. What you do for this will be also very valuable for the major. Any revelations so far on the minor from you, Sharon? What do you think?
I think that it's set out. It's so well set out. You know how that one steps into the next one and that. But yeah, I've been very busy in the last week packing a house, so I have to be honest and say I have to get reading pretty fast.
Oh, thank you for that. I really appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to come and join us in the middle of your chapter in Darwin.
No, I was looking for.
No, it's excellent. Thank you. I hope you did. So the onliners, that's just at the moment you and Mary, isn't it? Yes. Could you give me a score in terms of how connected do you feel you are to Alpha Crucis and to the study? Out of 10.
If I'm comparing it to the university where you go every day, it's quite different. The forums help. 5, but yeah, like for myself to the study, I'm like every day engaging, but yeah, I guess maybe I'm more in the forums.
Okay. Have you looked at have the echoes been any help, or are they too confusing? Have you looked at the echoes?
Yeah, one subject I couldn't get into, but
which was that? Do you know?
I don't know. I sent you an email, so it was about a week ago, so I haven't tried since then.
Oh, I will look into your emails. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I love your wall map. I love it.
That's from IKEA actually, and it's
love IKEA.
It's actually got pins in it.
Oh yeah.
Of all the places that we've tried to go to.
Wow.
That we've been to. So, I don't know whether you can see the pins.
No, not really. But
no, but it's on. I've stuck it onto foam, so we can stick pins in.
Good. Absolutely love it. When I went to IKEA, I was just like felt trapped in there, coming from the country, and I have to go through everywhere to get it.
I know, they're very clever.
Like 5 years, but I might for something like that.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad actually. So we're still working on sticking pins in. It's only a few minutes to go, and then I must wrap this up, I'm afraid. Any other questions while I try and scratch my head of what I haven't talked to you about?
Was yesterday's recorded?
I think so, but I haven't checked it. Yesterday, a lot of them brought up the question of echo on 101 and 401, so I'm going to go and check that out and see if anything can be improved. Sometimes, I haven't done it this year, but I like to basically go through the echoes each day and put a title on them in echo, saying basically what that particular day was about, so that when you click on, you can actually see, oh yeah, this is PowerPoint 3 page blah 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 blah. So that might help. Any other questions?
Jim, will you be doing another Zoom regarding the major assignment?
Oh, certainly, absolutely.
Okay.
And my wife told me off for doing one on Saturday, but I know some people work and it's the best time for them. And I don't mind a half hour or whatever from time to time. That's not going to hurt.
Thank you, Jim.
No worries. Anything else?
No, just thank you for today.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you. Good to see you. Still powering on. Worst thing is if people don't get in touch. I mean, yes, from time to time I do a sort of audit of the Moodle, and I can see so and so's not been on for 30 days. You know what's going on, and so they get rather pointed emails or phone calls. But it's far better if I don't do that. And you keep in touch, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
No worries.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.